Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Modern Decks Done Quick. Today we're going to be looking at a deck that is pretty notorious for its turn 3, turn 4 kills. Pretty consistently if they don't get interacted with. That deck, of course, is Storm. Now, Storm is actually a mechanic within Magic the Gathering that says when you cast this spell, copy it for each spell cast before this turn. So what can we tell from that? Well, we can tell in order to make this effective, they're going to need to be casting a lot of spells. You need to do it all in a single turn. Well, how are they going to do that? First of all, they're going to use these two all-stars. Goblin Electromancer, Brawl Chief of Compliance. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Once they've got those guys in play, they're going to start cantripping. They're going to use cards like Serum Visions, Opt, Sleight of Hand, okay, to kind of set up their future draws while drawing into more action at the same time. But that's not going to be enough. They're going to need a lot of mana in order to do what they're wanting to do. And for that, they're going to be using Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual, MorphOS. Both of the rituals, when you have either Electromancer or Brawl in play, they are basically a net of 2 mana. Morphos nets you 1 mana, but it also allows you to draw a card. And what they're looking for is one of these two cards, Gifts Ungiven or Past in Flames. Past in Flames says each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until the end of turn. That flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. All those spells that they just cast, they're going to be able to cast them all again with Past in Flames. Past in Flames also has flashback. So, what they might end up doing if they don't have it in their hand is cast Gifts Ungiven, which says search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards, put the chosen cards into your graveyard, and the rest into your hand. Then shuffle your library. So, one of those cards, without a doubt, is going to be Past in Flames. And it's not going to matter where you put it. You can put it in the graveyard, they'll flash it back. You can put it into their hand, and then, they'll just go ahead and cast it. So they've gone through this. They've cast, 20, 25 spells, however many spells they need to cast. And they've done it to kill you with this next card, Grapeshot. Grapeshot is the finisher of the Storm deck. It deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and it has Storm. So for example, if you have cast 25 spells as a Storm player, which happens extremely often, and then you cast Grapeshot, that's 26 damage that you can assign to any number of players or creatures. Now usually this damage is just going straight to the dome to knock out the opponent. Empty the Warrens, a little bit more of a sideboard card for Storm. They do use it against aggressive decks that get a lot of creatures on the board very early on to put up blockers, or if they're having issues setting up their combo, they might do a little mini Storm early on in the match. And, you know, put 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens into play with Storm. Maybe they do a mini Storm of, I don't know, 5 or 6 spells. Well, that's going to be, anywhere from 12 to 14 1/1 goblin tokens. That alone, if they can't be dealt with, that's quite the clock. So, what can we do to deal with this deck? Well, it's actually a very linear strategy. So, for the most part, it can be relatively easily dealt with. Relic of Progenitus. They need their graveyard. If we can exile their graveyard at instant speed, it's basically the same as pulling Past a Flame out of the deck. Ruined Halo. A lot of these decks don't actually run Empty the Warrens. And Ruined Halo, if you can get it into play and you can name Grapeshot, they might not have a way to kill you. Targeted Removal, Fatal Push, Path to Exile. These are a lot of modern staple cards that you see a lot. If you can kill their Electromancers, if you can take care of the Barals early on, you will buy yourself enough turns to build out your board and hopefully race storm effectively. And then surgical extraction. Once again, it's a linear deck. It has certain cards that we know it needs to function. So if we can get a Grapeshot into the graveyard early on off of a Gifts Ungiving, if we can get a Past in Flames into the graveyard, we can surgical extract all those cards out of their deck, and that will set them back quite a bit. And guys, that's it. That is Storm Done Quick. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something today. And we'll see you next week for more Modern Decks Done Quick.